All right. Um, all right, we got more of these. Okay, before we get started, so just everybody, if you would be so kind, this is an emotional night for all of you. Thank you for sitting here patiently. I told you earlier that we all appreciate what you do, and we're going to try to do our best that we can to make everybody as happy as possible, but it's going to be difficult. So we want to hear what you have to say. Say it with all the passion you can. Try not to repeat, some of the things that are going on so that, it's just not, we need more money, we need more money, we need more money. I understand that, but in the meantime, let's go on to the first card. That's all right. All right. Richard Webb, holy mackerel. Did he leave? Okay. Good. Susan Edison. Susan Edison. Hi, Susan.
Good evening. My hearing aid is doing weird things. Anyway, I'm the mother of a paramedic, and it's a very difficult job. So this isn't, I know we say firefighters, paramedics, yes, they do the both. My daughter is simply paramedic. So I want to give you, I want you to visualize some of these things that she deals with. Motorcyclists splattered on the concrete, on the asphalt, heads twisted 180 degrees. $15 an hour, that's what she gets. Gunshot victims, attending to a gunshot victim from a drug deal that's gone bad. The scene is not secure. $15 an hour. Running an IO, which is similar to an IV, with a needle that gets stuck into a newborn baby's leg bone. $15 an hour. I'm debating whether this ABT tax abatement, is it just irony or is it lunacy? You want to bring I believe the word was highly compensated individuals into this county. Keep on growing. More houses, more apartments. You violated going west of I-95. There are complexes over there now, which used to be cattle land. It is crazy that you cannot take care. Your house is burning down and your firefighters are leaving. They need more money. It should be a matter of risk and return. For all the risks they get, there should be some return. This is an opposite principle. I don't understand why it's working this way. I was a budget analyst also at Harris. I know how budgets work. There's always money there. It gets moved around. It gets the show game. It gets people keeping their budget from one year to the next when they really didn't spend it and they just don't want to relinquish it. Some creativity is needed here. I don't care about the caps on property taxes or something. There's money that can be found and there's ways that can be allocated to take care of people that are taking care of you for the lowest of wages. Personally, I don't think Brevard needs more growth. I don't think we need to bring more people in. I think there's a mentality that they will not be happy here until all the green, as in grass and land, is gone and has been developed. By the way, I was an electrical contractor also with my husband, so I've seen it all. I am a farmer too. Y'all need to make some fixes somehow. The money's there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joshua Madison.
Hello, commissioners and citizens. My name is Joshua Madsen, 23 and a half year employee with Brevard County Fire Rescue. My wife has served almost 25 years now. I'd like to say I thought things would get better, but as Tobias said, the past is a great predictor of the future. I've been here 23 years and I haven't seen it. There's money there. I know that it takes 4 out of the 5 to vote above the cap. I saw in an article, one said he would definitely do it. There's a couple others that might not risk it because they're in political positions in the future. We take risk every day, every call. That's what we do. We take a risk. We can't say we're going to come home. Can't say we're not. What we're going to do, we're going to come to our families. I ask you guys to take the risk, bet on us, bet on every person in this department. I'd like to also ask where the money went last time. There was an increase. It was supposed to all go to wages. That was directed to Frank Abate, your county manager. It didn't come to us. A very small amount came to us. Next negotiation meeting we had, we have no money. That's what he said. We have no money. It's not there. So I'd like to know answers from him. I'd like you guys to call him. Also like you guys to look at your directors. They're told when they come to their budget workshops how much they can ask for and exactly what they're going to do before they come to you. They can't tell you the truth. He puts their jobs on the line. I hope that you guys call them to your offices individually and ask them the truth. Have them come up, explain the budgets to you individually and what they need. Their costs are a lot more. They're losing employees just like us. Don't listen to him. Find out where the money went. And if so, use the comps the county attorney and the county manager use for their wages. Use their comps for our comps. They're comparable to our counties. We'd like to see that. I'm not asking to be rich. I'm just asking to be fairly compensated so I can afford my bills. All right. I know a lot of these guys, $15 an hour for the first 8 years. I've been there 23 and a half years. I make just under $25 an hour. All right. That's the top out lieutenant medic, top out pay for a firefighter, lieutenant medic in the streets, just under $25 an hour. I have to work 500 hours overtime to make my way. Not to mention we're not asking for South Florida wages. Seminole, Marion, Orange, people around us. Palm Bay, Melbourne make way more than we do right now, and they just signed 30% contracts. So where are they going to be? Where are your people going to be working for them? So I can tell you right now, I'll recommend every one of them. My guys come to me right now, what should I do? I said, look at how they treat you in this contract. If you're not getting a competitive wage, they don't care about you and they never will. Take your family where the money is going to be to take care of yourselves. We take care of the citizens, but someone's got to take care of us. Otherwise, it's just not fair.
Amen. Where's the money?
Okay, please no outbursts. Thanks. As I said, it's going to be an emotional night, so we need to get through this and then we can all let it sink in and try to do the best we can for the public. Fred Douglas. Thanks, Rita.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Fred Douglas. I'm here representing Bright. Bright is a community organization made up of diverse religious congregations across Brevard County. Together, we work to address problems impacting everyday people in our community by working together with our elected officials to help determine common sense solutions. Each year, we conduct countywide listing process. And from our 2020 founding, we have heard more stories about the lack of affordable housing than any other issue in Brevard County. Bright began advocating for affordable housing and Affordable Housing Trust Fund in 2021 because county resources are often limited by a lack of funding. The Charter Review Commission developed and proposed the charter amendment. It was placed on the ballot and approved by the voters. And after 2 years, there remains no dedicated funding. Let me tell you about Harry and Tamaya. They were forced to move following a dispute with their apartment manager. They began to search for a 2-bedroom apartment for their family. During COVID, many landlords were asking for first, last, and deposit cash to move in. Based upon the average rental rate of $2,100 per month for a 2-bedroom, they did not have the almost $5,000 required to move in. They had recently launched a new business and both worked every day, but they were homeless, and the 5 of them routinely slept in their car. Generally, they cycled between the car, having their 3 sons, scattered among school friends in couch surfing conditions, and on certain occasions, they were able to spend a week in a hotel. This would continue for some 24 months until someone finally connected them with the Community of Hope and they found an apartment that they could meet the cash requirement. After a year in the new apartment, Harry and Tamaya were able to find a home with the assistance of their landlord. When someone goes to work every single day, they should have access to a safe home that they can afford. In closing, I am here to ask you, where's the accountability to follow through on this voter-approved initiative? When will Brevard County Commissioners move to fund the Workforce Housing Trust Fund? As people of faith, Bright believes that we all want to live in a community that cares about all of its families. Bright is calling upon the Brevard County Commissioners to dedicate the resources to this Workforce Housing Trust Fund and expand housing access for all of Brevard County's families.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Sir, would you guys come to the next affordable housing meeting? I think that's a good place to start a good conversation of maybe trying to find funds and some ideas. But we meet once a month on a Thursday. If you would come there, that would be a good, it's almost like a workshop environment. It's a good place to come.
We are absolutely interested in attending.
Thank you.
Just let us know when.
Thursday at 4:30, and we'll get it to
We'll get
them.
them on the list. They get notified.
Thanks. I think that would be a great opportunity.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Commissioner Pritchett. All right. Pastor Oliver Wells.
Good evening. My name is Oliver W. Wells. I'm the pastor of Christ the King Baptist Church, and I'm the vice president of Bright, serving in that capacity. Cost of housing in Brevard County is and has been for years a critical issue for the citizens of this county for a very long time. At this point, more than 30,000 families in Brevard are paying more than half of their income on housing. In fact, I'm sure all of you would be surprised at the number of Brevard County employees that must work a second job just to be able to afford decent housing for their families. This is a major barrier, and people are struggling to make ends meet. Of course, this is no new issue for the commissioners that I'm addressing at this moment. My colleague, you just heard, Mr. Frederick Douglass, just stated that the county has a workforce and supportive housing trust fund that has no revenue funding source. And it has remained like this, I reiterate, for more than 2 years. This sad state of affairs is at the least misleading and at the most deceptive for the citizens of this county who voted for the creation of a housing trust fund, but are to date completely unaware that no viable revenue source has been identified by the county commissioners. This affects the people that I serve. There's a husband and wife team at Christ the King Church who through no fault of their own have ended up homeless. They were living in the woods for 18 months while still being employed. Thank goodness they have since qualified for HUD low rent housing that they are living in now. However, they're still challenged to make ends meet. Listen, locating and designating a viable revenue stream or source, I should say, for Brevard's housing trust fund, it will alleviate hardships like this. And let me quickly state, this has already been accomplished in other regions of our nation. There are housing trust funds in existence all over the United States. I'm sure you know this. In over 500 cities and nearly 200 counties. Most of these governmental entities have revenue streams. I do recognize I'm out of time, but I'm asking tonight that you would help us meet with Bright so we can identify a viable revenue stream and source and fund this trust fund.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Heather Elko. Heather Elko. Good evening, Heather.
Good evening. I come here to speak to I'm from Melbourne.
Okay.
I come here to speak to the commission as a whole about Vieira Wetlands. While its physical location is in District 4, my request is to all of you because it as an entity, you are the supervisors of county staff. It is well understood that Vieira Wetlands is not a park, but rather a working utility under the management of the Utilities Department. After a period of closure for repairs, limited access now is permitted for wildlife viewing on foot and bicycle, no motorized vehicles. Because you supervise the utilities director and staff, I'm asking you to get them to implement 2 inexpensive fixes to Vieira Wetlands access. They are as follows. Number 1, post a sign with the hotline number at the entrance to the wetlands. And number 2, have the department update the hotline without fail. Requests for these things have been made before with no results. I know you can get this done. The hotline is designed to inform visitors of hours of access and any closures that might occur. But the hotline is not being updated, and people arrive sometimes after a very long drive to find gates closed and no way to get information. Why is this so difficult to just update the hotline? Secondly, we need a sign at the wetlands that gives the hotline number. A couple years ago, there was such a sign, but it was taken down and it has not been replaced. Certainly, erecting a sign with the hotline number would be a courtesy to visitors, and it would be really easy to do. I hope I have your ear and that you will direct the Utilities Department to solve these 2 simple problems. I wouldn't be here if these requests had not already been made and ignored. This is a cry for help. With all the complexities and challenges that you have to deal with, accomplishing this for your constituents should be a slam dunk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth Mitchellum? Okay, hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Liz Michaelman. I live on Merritt Island. I'm not really fond of stump speeches either. And the reason for it is I'm just going to run through it. You're not going to hear me. Nobody's going to hear me. So, Morris. I'm here early in regards to 1260 South Courtney Boulevard, Parkway, excuse me. It's going to be on the agenda on Thursday. It's, for me, a very important issue because I want to start drawing a line in the sand. You hear it over and over again, wetlands, floodplains, when are we going to stop? I appreciate everything about the biosolids, putting a moratorium. I think it's about time we put a moratorium on building on our wetlands. There are numbers, there's information in there. You can find out. I have people showing up because one of the issues, and I sent to Mr. Goodson, I sent you an email, and in the email, they said that there's a process for zoning, the three steps. 1, you do the application. 2, you got to advertise it. 3, you got to put a sign on the property, correct? Well, how beholden are you to that? Because the sign, and I sent Mr. Goodson a picture of the sign, is sitting there in half. It's not even legible. It's folded in half. So when I went walking, 108 degrees, talking to the neighbors that don't know about this. To me, it doesn't matter. It's all the wetlands that are a problem. So anyway, quickly, I don't know where the camera is. Here's a picture of the property. Okay, what this is showing you is floodlands plus AE property, which is what? Coastal hazard, okay? This gives you definitive this gives you this. I put all this information. If you want additional information, I've been doing a lot of research. The reason it's important is you're talking about money. Do you know anything about the CRS, and the class system? Brevard is let's say it's within a contracted agreement with FEMA that you have to learn to mitigate flooding. How do you mitigate flooding? Well, you don't build on wetlands because that naturally mitigates flooding. So what happens is your class grade just went up. I spent a long time talking to John Smith, who is your floodplains manager. And he, for 2 hours, I talked to him and he explained how that works. We went from a 7 to an 8. We just lost 5% of that discount. That means all these people that are talking about not being able to live, their insurance is going up based on that information. You can stop that. It's really not the hardest thing. It's not rocket science. I will be here on Thursday, but can I just quickly say something to all the yellow?
No,
it's not on this.
Ma'am, you have to sit down. Thank you very much. We've got a lot of people here. We appreciate.
It's just 2 minutes.
Ma'am, I said no.
Well, it's to thank everybody wearing yellow. I'm alive today because of you guys.
Commissioner's Byatt.
Couple things. First of all, ma'am, we're going to listen to you. But and what I find really interesting is I've been here 7 years. You're the first person to come to a board meeting about a future zoning meeting. So I really appreciate that. I've never seen that before, which draws the question, Mr. Chair, over to the clerk's office. Do we have to disclose this as a meeting, or since this was done in an open?
So that the document she passed out was provided to the clerk, and Mr. Denninghoff has a copy that's going to be placed in the official zoning file.
So we don't have to disclose this as a meeting, in other words?
It's not a meeting for that purpose. No,
Got it. Thank you.
Well, that was the first thing I was worried about, but I still let it go on. So there you go. You'll have 2 shots at this. So, all right. So let's go on to Thabeth and Van Lee Thorne. Okay, just so you know, I appreciate you being here, but just because you're together, you still only have 3 minutes. You don't have 6.
That's fine.
Okay?
I don't even need 3 minutes.
All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Thea Beth Thorne, and this is my husband, Van Lee Thorne. We live in District 1, Rita's district, in the subdivision of Quail Haven and Mims. I have been a registered nurse myself for 36 years, and my husband is retired from BCFR with 29 years as a lieutenant EMT. So he definitely understands. the
Okay,
needs
ma'am.
of all of you.
Ma'am.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'll address
You have
you.
to address the board, and you can't turn and ask for participation from the audience.
That's fine. We are here today to show support for the great men and women of BCFR.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And I won't rehash the issues. So many people have said all the things, and you guys are all smart. You're all well aware of the issues and what is at stake for not only the citizens of Brevard County, the firefighters of Brevard County Fire Rescue, and the tourists that visit our county. My husband was born in Brevard County, and he wanted to stay here and work near his home, his family, and to serve his local community. He chose to stay here those 29 years with the low pay. And many of them did, out of honor and respect for the people here. But many have left, and they needed to, they had to, they were forced to. I, as a registered nurse, was able to help supplement. But there were still times when there were weeks when we hoped that our children wouldn't get sick because we couldn't even afford antibiotics for them. And I hope that none of them are having to deal with those same issues. They need help. And I'm just hoping that the safety and the well-being is utmost. I heard you say that. You didn't care what the cost was for the safety and well-being of every citizen here. What if a paramedic shows up? What if you pass out? What if one of your family members has an accident or a heart attack? Do you want a newbie that's fresh out of school? Or do you want someone with knowledge and experience of years? We have a neighbor in our community that was saved with that knowledge. They did the IO into his bone and saved him. He would have died without that procedure. And some of these new people don't have that procedure. They don't have it down. So I ask you to please reconsider in these negotiations and help these great men and women to remain here in Brevard County, where they want to be. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Senator Sullivan.
Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. So I'm going to finish Liz Mitchellman's story. She had a cardiac arrest and the ambulance came to her house. There was an EMT and a paramedic. The EMT thought she was having stress, like a panic attack. And the other one, the paramedic, recognized that she was having a cardiac arrest. And she's here today because there was a paramedic on the ambulance. And the situation that you are creating is creating a public safety crisis. Now, I want to bring something up. We don't need to bust the cap. We don't need to raise taxes on the people because there are several things that you can do right away to fix this. One is EMS and fire impact fees have not been updated in 32 years. Now, I've read your budget. I see what you're dealing with is primarily growth costs, additional costs of fire trucks and ambulances that have doubled and tripled in costs. You're dealing with growth. The assessment we had, 39% back in 2021, March 1st, 2021. It's going to bring in $7.2 million. Let me read what you said. This increase will provide flexibility to accelerate the time frame for addressing the wage disparity between Brevard County and identify 2021 comparables of surrounding jurisdiction. It would allow addressing Brevard County Fire Rescue field classifications with surrounding jurisdiction comparables notwithstanding attrition rates. Now, there's another thing you can do. I'm looking at my tax records. In 1998, when Harbor City had a critical failure, we went to referendum to take those services in-house in Brevard County. Tell me why the cities aren't charged that EMS for those EMS services? No, we only tax the unincorporated and the small cities that get fire services. That is a county-wide service. What, you afraid of the lobbyists for the cities? They got too much power, kind of like what we saw with the lifeguards, the pushback. We don't have the bravery to address that issue. And then I want to bring up something else. This is Rob Feltner when he ran for office in 2022. Dear friends, I stand with our fire and emergency rescue personnel. The public safety is top priority for local government. Like you, I support the men and women who serve Brevard County as first responders. What we saw in the newspaper was our commissioners don't really want to address this issue. And I'm imploring you, please address it and fill your commitments.
Erica Orris.
Hi, everybody. Erica Orris from Melbourne Beach. And someone alluded to Florida Today is not a credible source, but I will tell you that I almost wrote to them because of the situation with the firefighters. Now, I've gone to the negotiations. I sit there, I listen, but only when it really came to my home did it really start to make sense. All right. And also, I have to say, to Commissioner Goodson's point, education. Education is so important. Many people don't know that we are down on our firefighters, that we are 6 ambulances down, that we don't have enough, that we are in a critical shortage. Most people don't know that our staff is overworked. When they come to my house and my husband's having a heart attack, they might be tired. They might have worked 3 shifts in a row or whatever. No, most people don't know that. They don't know that. I know that because I've been walking around with a magnifying glass for the last, I don't know, year and a half, campaigning and learning more about, what's going on. So I'll tell you though, I was sitting at my house. Here's my little story that I was going to send in. They didn't care, but I care. And I think everyone should care. I live in the South Shores and we have 1 ambulance. That's it. 1. So my husband and myself were sitting on the couch and we were talking about who was going to go to Publix. Finally, he lost and he had to go. Anyway, so I hear he is in the back, and all of a sudden I hear a shriek, and then I hear a thud. And guess what? He's having a seizure. I call 911. The dispatcher's wonderful. She stays on the phone with me. To make a long story short, the fire truck pulls up, not an ambulance. They come in, they say, your husband's in trouble, and we have got to help him. And he's got to get it's got to get an ambulance here fast, but we have to wait on an ambulance. Now, I didn't have to wait on an ambulance long. However, knowing that we were 6 ambulances down, this is frightening. And what if they hadn't gotten there in time? They thought he was stroking out. May you never hear the words, hey, we have to wait on an ambulance, and it's your loved one. It's your loved one. We need to take care of our people that take care of us. I can't tell you how much this is really on my heart. So they need to make more than people working at McDonald's. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Kara Cooper.
Hello, Kara Cooper from Century Vieira area. Today, I stand before you to address a critical issue that affects every resident of Brevard County. As a resident and taxpayer of this county, I feel the fire EMS is on the brink of a service failure, reminiscent of the crisis in 1998. Without action, we can guarantee lives will be lost due to the degradation of our emergency services. For years, Brevard County has been postponing real solutions, choosing short-term fixes that waste our tax dollars. As a result, our staff is leaving in alarming rates due to inadequate pay and benefits. Mr. Tobias, you specifically questioned the BCRF employees earning more than some of the county officials with overtime being factored in. This is unreasonable. These dedicated individuals sacrifice family time to serve our county. How sustainable is it to mandate excessive overtime to fill in these gaps and then criticize their wages? You claim in 2021 impact fees would line the pockets of our union members. Sir, you're creating a false narrative that distracts from the real issue. The IAFF advocates for the rights and the interests of firefighters and emergency medical workers at the local, state, and federal level, similar to the responsibilities you took to serve our county. Local 2969 officials take on those responsibilities with very minimal compensation. Since 2019, Brevard County commissioners have ignored a law created from the 1998 voter referendum, which mandates minimum millage rates of 0.64% for EMS services. This rate was intended to support countywide EMS services, but city residences who receive these services pay nothing. It is time to enforce this law and ensure that everyone pays their fair share. All Brevard residents, including those in cities, should be assessed for the EMS portion of the fire EMS assessment approved back in 2021. Currently, only unincorporated areas receiving both fire and EMS services pay these assessments. It is unfair and must be rectified. Cities should also contribute to the cost of lifeguard services provided by their county. It is not fair for unincorporated residences to bear this burden. As the port expands, we need to ask our state legislators to change the tourism development tax statute to allow for the use of funds for fire rescue EMS, including lifeguard and police services for the designated tourism parks. These funds could help alleviate the financial burden on our emergency services. Brevard County cannot afford to wait any longer as populations are expected to increase over 20%. Police and firefighters face high suicide rates due to job stress and trauma. We lose at least one per day. We proudly call them Brevard finest. Let's support them with the pay that they deserve. Thank you to all the first responders. I'm indebted to your service. Thank you.
Diana Haynes.
Good evening. I live in Melbourne, and I'm here also to address the issue of the firefighters' disparity in their salaries. I have here some salaries that I pulled offline that I thought the public would find interesting. The clerk of courts makes approximately $184,000 a year. So does the property appraiser, the supervisor of elections, the tax collector. The sheriff makes over $200,000 a year. You all make approximately $110,000.
No, ma'am.
Well, you'd have to argue with the Office of Economic and Demographic Research.
I apologize, but that is absolutely incorrect. About half that.
Okay. But this is what they provided online. The school board makes approximately $50,000, and the superintendent of schools makes approximately $184,000. These were posted online, so I'm only going to go by that. And they could be wrong. Based on population, there's 6 other counties where the salaries are approximately $10,000 more per year based on their population amounts. Broward has 1.9 million, Duval has 1 million, Hillsborough has 1.5 million, Miami has 2.7 million, Orange has 1.4, and West Palm has 1.5 million in population, and they make 10,000 more, according to this document, per year. We have approximately 693,000 individuals. The very people that we call out to save your lives and our lives, you're paying them $15 an hour to start. It's just unconscionable. And the fact that they top out somewhere between 21 and 25 per hour after 15 years of service, you should all hang your heads in disgrace. This is absolutely disgusting. It's not even livable. I can tell you, these young responders have seen death to magnitudes you can't imagine. You come up on a motorcycle accident or an OD or a heart attack or any of these gruesome scenes that we see daily now on the news here in Brevard County. You show up at a suicide at a Bright Line and tell me that that's only worth $15 an hour. I'm going to tell you a story about a friend of mine who was in an accident a few days ago on Apollo Boulevard. He's an elderly gentleman, had his dog and his bicycle, laid there for 5 hours before someone finally turned him in. And these responders, he lost his dog. The only thing he was concerned about, went back and found this man's dog. So to me, that was worth the world to him. And it certainly is worth more than $15 an hour. Thank you.
Susan Conley.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yesterday, I turned 75. Yeah, woo. On this side of life, you see things a little differently. And I'm here to talk about citizen representation. When you get to be as old as me, I can safely say we've all experienced some type of situation that involved conflict or did not have an easy resolution. Here tonight, we're in that place with all the problems and issues coming forth. What I also see evolving, however, between citizens and county commission is anger and ridicule and unbecoming and unproductive behavior. And this is both on the part of citizens and the commissioners. What possibly could have driven all of us to resorting to attacks rather than answers to problems? I think what is happening is that there is a growing focus on people being the problem rather than issues. Charles F. Kettering said, "A problem well stated is a problem half solved." I ask, commissioners, clearly define issues, seek solutions through these opposing viewpoints, develop solutions that are representative of the people that you represent. After all, at the end of the day, we are all citizens and we are all we the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kristen Lordy.
Kristen Lartey, Cocoa resident, here to speak about the budget. This comment pertains to the cost and lack of accountability of Brevard County leadership. Following numerous conflicts between the citizens and local officials at the County Commission this year, a social media post in the Brevard Care Citizens Coalition Facebook group has published a line item detail of County Manager Frank Abate and County Attorney Morris Richardson's year-over-year pay history from 2009 to the present. As of this writing, this post has received over 10,000 views. According to public records, County Attorney Morris Richardson received an $86,241 increase in 2022 after leaving the city of West Melbourne and returning to Brevard County. What a nice payday for him when switching jobs and returning to county employment. County Manager Frank Abate received $52,858 in increases on the exact same days. When asked about Mr. Abate's substantial pay increase at the 2023 Citizens Academy, Mr. Abate responded that his sizable increase had to do with achieving pay equity with the county attorney. Where did the pay equity originate? This is a mystery. Mr. Richardson must have some excellent negotiation skills to warrant a 49% $86,000 pay increase in just a month's time to rejoin the county's employment. What was the reason that this increase was needed to recruit Mr. Richardson's services back to the county? The increases in these county positions cost taxpayers $111,770 in annual pay increases in FY 2023 alone. Does that sound like a pretty expensive event for Brevard County for these combined position increases? Records requests have also revealed that neither position has been receiving annual performance evaluations from the county commissioners. Should these individuals be receiving annual performance reviews as noted in their contracts? Were their sizable pay increases warranted? Do their current salaries of $275,000 and $265,000 a year warrant a 5% annual cost of living increase for them to keep up with inflation? Would it save taxpayers if cost of living adjustments were limited to lower paid positions? While the county attorney and the absence of performance evaluations, what can Brevard County taxpayers look forward to, including the firefighters that are present with us today, fighting for their own equitable compensation? How many speakers have been interrupted and possibly removed from this very meeting? Interrupted, but not so far removed. When will our leaders start assisting residents instead of belittling us? It is requested that this comment in the pay history detail be included in the meeting minute records for July 9th, 2024. A hard copy is being provided to the clerk of courts. People should know what's going on in Brevard County. These reviews need to happen, and these pay things need to be known by the public. The people have spoken.
Well, Katie Delaney. Always end up with you, Katie.
Best for last. So I had a speech written, but I'm not going to use it. I've been going to the negotiation meetings since February. Since February, the contracted attorney that costs over $300 an hour, and that's just his base pay, promised that they would talk about wages in the April meeting. The April meeting came and went. The firefighters came on their off time to witness that meeting, and no wage package was brought forward. Then they promised it would be the June meeting. Well, the June meeting came and the wage packet was brought, but to many of our surprise, they apparently weren't listening the months prior when the fire union was telling the county that the wages that were needed were not in the front of the contract. It was for the people that have been here, who have been serving this community for 10 plus years, and they can't even afford to get their kids shoes. I got a call from a district chief who was so upset because one of their people literally said they're a single father of a little girl, and he couldn't even afford shoes for this kid. Yet he puts himself in the line of duty for all of us, and his kid can't even get shoes. Negotiations are not over, Mr. Tobiah, Miss Pritchett. Y'all have been here for 7 years. This isn't a new problem. This is your problem. And it would be nice when you go off to your next thing, which you're trying to get a new office, it would be nice if you took care of the 200 plus people that showed up to be in this room today. I reject you saying that it's the same 10 people that come here, because here I have 200 plus of my friends that showed up. These people are busy. They have work schedules. I am lucky enough, I am privileged enough to be able to spend my time making sure that people on boards like this are not screwing over the people. I am privileged. People shouldn't have to show up like this in force, because y'all should be doing your job serving the public. Mr. Abate, at the very least, you can look at these people in the face, because you've been here. You've been here.
All right, enough. Sit down now. Sit down now. Excuse me, I am, but that has nothing to do with the disruption that's going on right now. Sit down.
Well, who's going to hold this man
Ma'am,
accountable?
Katie, don't start this again tonight.
Who's going to hold him accountable?
Morris, please. No. I want Mr. Richardson to respond to this, please.
You're good. The speaker's time is over. You have the right to bring
No,
the meeting to
I-
order, but your right to call down the
I
disruption.
actually, her time was not over. There was another 10 or 15 seconds, but she's intentionally trying to disrupt this meeting. And just stop. Katie, I've been very kind to you tonight, and I'm going to continue to try to do that. Okay? So I'm allowing you to do what you don't. Look, guys, I'm on your side. Just stop back there. Let's take a 5-minute break, please. Anyway, I understand everybody's feelings tonight and passion, so let's just let this go. And we'll try to do the best we can with moving forward in a positive manner. So we only have a couple of things left on the report tonight. So I just as soon ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting at this particular point in time, and we'll move forward. We can't discuss anything with you guys in regards to negotiation because you're in the middle of negotiations and it won't do any good. But I think you've made your point tonight and I respect it. I think the board respects it. So do I hear a motion to adjourn? Yes.
May I have, I'll skip over all of the useful fact, but I do have a county employee to recognize if that who's been diligently waiting.
We can do the reports real fast and get done.
I'll skip over everything other than the person that's been
cool.
With
That'd be
your
great.
permission. Thank you. Roxanne Myers, Accountant 2, Public Works Department, 6 years of service. Roxanne has 15 years experience in finance with 8 years of government experience in Accounting 2. Roxanne's job duties include processing invoices, purchasing requisitions, billings, and monitoring, analyzing budgets. In addition, she supports multiple programs within Public Works and has trained multiple new employees during her time with the county. Most importantly, she is extremely loyal and dedicated employee who's always willing to help. Fun fact, she enjoys quilting, reading, traveling, and spending time with her family. In fact, she enjoys quilting so much, she has generously donated countless hours of her time creating multiple quilts for different organizations, one of which is for an orphanage in Honduras. Are you here, Roseanne? Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your dedicated service.
Okay. Is there any other reports that we need to do tonight? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn? So motion to adjourn by Commissioner Goodson, seconded by Commissioner Feltner, and all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.